Hello Exiles, I just hit level 97 on my Bloodmage character and just wanted to share my final build version, which is kind of min-maxed and capable of all content. I've done anything this game offers with ease and just wanted to show it off. Maybe someone wants to follow along. It has some unique traits and trades some damage for quality of life, because this version has quite a lot of damage that you don't actually need. So without further ado, I wanted to show you this map. It's like the craziest, tankiest map I could come up with. It has more monster life, max rolled. It has 20% of life as extra ES, and it has close to 40% less recovery rate of life and ES, which is quite annoying for most Bloodmage builds, and it has monster packs are in Union of Souls. And on top of all that, players are 150% delirious, which is the maximum as far as I know. So all monsters get a huge damage reduction bonus. All of this, of course, gets scaled by the map effect nodes, and I've got all the boss atlas nodes for bossing difficulty. So let's jump right in and see how we do. It's just some quantity rarity tablets, nothing special there. Please excuse the low frame rate. With Delirium it's absolutely atrocious. So, just to see the map mods, got scaled to 80% more monster life, 51% less recovery rate, and 30% life as extra ES, so as tanky as you can make a map, basically. Terrain, glycosis, no issue with that. So this character in maps has a movement speed of 120%, which is very nice. It's very fast, especially for Exile 2 players. The DPS, depending on how you calculate it, because neither the in-game tooltip nor part of building fully properly represent the skill and its modifiers, as far as I can tell, is roughly around 3 million. So as you can see, it's more than enough for the toughest, tankiest map that this game has to offer. And once we're done, I'll show you some of my gear and gear choices that I've made. I've tried, I don't know, dozens of different configurations in part of building and in the game, tested different support gems, and finally settled on this version, which I think is the most well-rounded build. Of course it's min-max, so this build has a cost of roughly 400 to 500 divines, but I am very confident when I'm saying that you could achieve a similar level of power with just below 20 divines, and I've thought about making a build guide for budget builds. I don't know if that's even relevant this late in the league, but I'm quite amazed by how many posts on Reddit are shared about some newbie trying out the Spark Bloodmage, which is of course a very capable build, but only if you invest a shit ton of currency into it. Every item is really expensive, like the corrupted KMs and the Grand Spectrum jewels and so on. It's crazy how much money you need to get this build really going to be able to do all content with these. So I think this version would be much more suited for the common player that's maybe starting late into the league or is not the power gamer playing dozens of hours each week. There's the boss. Wrong direction. It's this one. The Explodey boss. So usually map bosses go down with 1 or 2 casts of Ember Fusilade, but of course since we have these crazy toughness modifiers it takes quite a bit longer, but it's just as a showcase. Usually 99% of maps are not that tanky, so just to show it off with 150% Delirious. And that's it. Back to the hideout. So, about the build and my gear choices. You might say, oh, a life stacking Bloodmage with just 5k life, isn't that a bit low? I'd say there are a couple of things that you have to consider. First of all, I'm not running Veil of the Night helmet, so I'm fully capped on my resistances, almost in chaos, so build is very tanky. Second of all, I'm not running a Kames Heart. Why? Because this chest, which is super cheap to do, is, in my opinion, much better, much more versatile. You get the just the increased life node, high ES, and you can get the crit immunity, basically, which makes you super tanky. Then I don't have a regular belt, I've got a movement speed belt because I can afford it. Next thing is I have 150% rarity on my character, which is quite good. You could squeeze some more, but I figured that's fine for me. And as I've said earlier, I'm at 105% movement speed in hideout and in maps with the spirit possession up, which is like 80%, 90% uptime in maps, it's 120%, which feels very, very nice. So I hope you enjoyed this showcase, and let me know in the comments if you want to see a build guide on a budget version of this, where I explain and showcase how you can do this build with, let's say, 20 divines. I have to check all the prices to be sure, but I'm fairly confident you can get this character going for 20 divines and be able to do all content and be much, much stronger and tankier than the Arc build, Spark build, which is so popular right now. So just to showcase my gear, of course, +6 wand, some good rings with res and life and rarity. It's a triple socket glove. That's like the more or less the most expensive item. It's 90 div with just 2 sockets. It's like, I don't know, 10 div maybe. Movement speed belt, movement speed boots with some life and resistance and rarity. Also, yeah, I'm running a Destiny, which is again a huge tankiness layer. You could just run a good plus skill level amulet with some life and percent life and so on. But as I've showcased, the damage of this build is high enough. I don't know why you would need any more damage. Of course, if you're doing these ultra tanky maps, the boss will die quicker, but it's just, I don't know, every 100 maps you'll get a map which is this crazy tanky. Also, nobody runs 150% delirious, so any normal map you will kill the boss within 1 or 2 seconds. So this just is a lot of quality of life. A Wrathpith, it's not even a special one. It has all the standard rolls, just 3 sockets. Of course you can get higher damage if you go for the higher rolls, but again it's ultra expensive and you just don't need it. It's not necessary. Yep, that's about it. My main skill, of course, Fusilade combined with Fireball, both with Unleash, which feels very nice, and the 150% cost multiplier gets you to crazy damage levels with Atta Louis. And since I have 50%, or with these 2 runes, I have a 100% chance for spell skills to fire 2 additional projectiles, so every cast of Fusillade will get me 9 orbs. And since I'm not running any Scion's Temper or Wild Shards, they all fire in the direction I want to, which feels very nice. You could, if you like the color purple more than orange, you could just spec this node and convert all your fire damage to chaos. It doesn't make any difference, it just makes your orbs purple. Since like your main damage is physical anyway, and the fire damage is just more or less neglectable. Of course, yeah, it's like 20%, 15-20% fire damage, but doesn't really matter. So, and since we are running a hybrid mana life build, you can use Zenith. It's crazy damage, as you can see, 1.2, 1.9. Just one thing to consider, like I said earlier, the in-game value here and the POB value are kinda misleading in the sense that they overvalue cast speed. For example, if I put in, maybe can show you a ring with cast speed like this one. So if I swap this ring, the only difference is basically the cast speed, 24% cast speed. My TPS goes to 2.15 million, so it's a 250,000, like, I don't know, 15% damage upgrade. But in reality it is not, because this calculation assumes that the cast time is directly related to the amount of projectiles you'll fire. So it assumes you'll cast and the projectiles immediately hit the enemy. But in reality, if you cast, it takes some time, the projectiles will fire, and then you cast again. So you're not constantly casting like with Spark. So if you're constantly casting, the projectiles will never fire. So there's not a real point in investing into cast speed. It doesn't give you any benefit, except that the occasional cast of Fireball will be a bit smoother, because it has a cast time of 1 second right now. Because like the only cast speed I have is my wand, and of course my Roa with the haste aura. So be aware to not invest into cast speed into this build, it's misleading. You should only invest into critical strike chance, critical damage multiplier, and of course life. So that's it for now. See you next time. Bye bye.